they felt like it. I'm my own person now, and if you thought I was powerful before, just wait and see. And I've proven that over and over. And so when I talk about these vulnerable pieces of my life, I no longer feel like I am going to lose. I've already lost. I've lost my house. I've lost my relationship, and I'm okay with that. It's cool. I'm fine. Again, I didn't die from it. Just got stronger. And so I feel like I can talk about this stuff, and I can tell anybody any of it, Everything I've become is because of who I am deep down as a person. Every success, everything. And so when my son just called me, so now I'm like, I can't think. My brain just snapped into mom mode. And he's coming up the stairs. He's going to find me. That's okay. It'll take him a while. Yeah, everything I've done, everything I've become, I've done out of who I am. The tenacity, which I've done a whole podcast on about tenacity. About, as much as I will fuss and cry about certain things, it's just like one stage of the process. You come up against the challenge and you flail a bit, and then you see that there's no other option, and you pick up your shit that you just hurled all over the place, and you make a fucking plan and you carry it out. And I've always done that. And I think where that differs for some is that piece in the middle there where you see there's no option. Now, if there were an option of, say, and I don't want to belittle anybody for their opportunities or, resources. Again, I feel for the people who have no resources, and I also appreciate the people who do. I don't have judgment, about anyone who has malice in their heart. Yeah, I get a bone to pick with them. All I want is understanding in the end, at the very end of all this. So in that space, and I'm just going to talk about me, because that's all I got to go on. In that space where there's no option, I can't call up somebody, or I can't call up mom and be like, help. In certain instances I can, but, and I'm not going to get into anything specific, having a father with dementia and you're a child and you're in the room with him and you're alone with him and there's a problem, there's a misunderstanding and there's no other option but to make it as right as it can be to move forward or to get to the next task or to bring him out of a funk or to help him, learn how to use the remote control all over again. No option. Act. No option. The neurons start to fire. You build pathways that just, instead of, it becomes just more smooth. And so I have this reaction to things, again, as much as, and I shouldn't keep apologizing for having the meltdown, but always after the meltdown is the rebuild. And that's what I'm known for. And now I accept that and I own it. And I don't give it up anymore. So there's a story, as things were breaking apart in my life and I was rebuilding. So one part of my life was disintegrating at my hand. I was making that happen. At the same time, with my other hand, I was building myself up to keep going. As hard as that was, and as many times as I wanted to just bail, I didn't, because I knew that I just had to keep going. Tenacity. And during that time when I was building myself up and getting this concert series off the ground, and I requested some help from a friend of the family that I was now shunned by. And this friend of the family agreed to come on board and do a in-kind sponsorship. And the first response I got out of the family was, the only reason why he did that for you is because of your last name and that he thinks that you're affiliated with us. Because otherwise you wouldn't have gotten that partnership. And that my last name was getting me privileges that I would not otherwise get. So in those words, they essentially were trying to strip me of any power I had and trying to remind me that the only power I did have resided in their connection to me. And thank God my head was on straight and fastened tightly, because I fought right back and I said, no way. That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. And I reclaimed my power. And 3 years later, this partnership is so strong, and it's become such a cornerstone in this series that has been extremely successful. So if that had something to do with the last name that I carry, and it's still going strong regardless, I don't even want to give any more thought to it. It was ridiculous. But if I were any weaker, if I had not rekindled my own flame, that would have torn me down. But instead it built me up. And so now, I do understand, and I do realize that being the underdog, being kind of always trying to catch up, it fuels my passion and my energy going forward. It's how I work. It's just how I work now. And so, yeah, that was a pretty shocking statement. And, again, when it came, I was like, oh yeah, no surprise. I figured that that's how they felt about me anyway. And this is just it finally coming out. And knowing in advance that was going to be coming down the road, or that was the thought that they had, I was prepared to deal with it. And I did. So I shut that door. And this was also a family that liked to remind me of the broken family that I came from, and that, and in reminding me of that, the intent was to keep me down, to keep me dependent. And I didn't buy that either. And so having that experience of being in a part of a broken upbringing and really tough early life and resilience and, always wanting more, always wanting more. I'm not sure what my point was. I had to remind myself that I was always that person, even before I met the people that I'm talking about. And I had to reclaim that person and pull her out of the past and set her down beside me and look at her and say, hey, don't listen to them, listen to me. We've always done this. We've always done this together. And we're going to do it now. And we're going to kick major ass and, keep moving forward. And so I partnered with myself and I kept that last name. And I claimed all of it. And I don't, I'm not looking for anything from them. I just wanted me. I just wanted me back. And so far, so good. And it's worked out. And I am always willing to talk to people who think that their doors are all shut. I love kicking them down. I love kicking them down. Look at me now. Love that shit. Anyway, I gotta get kids brushed and into bed. I might be able to come back and say more stuff, but if I don't, good night. If I do, you won't even know. There will be like a split second between me saying goodbye and me continuing to talk. Such is, doing a podcast very unprofessionally, but whatever. So I'm not going to be able to really finish this podcast tonight. Too busy. But I am going to leave you with this. Life is complex. Shove your judgments up your ass. If you have something to say, make sure that it's with your heart and your mind and not from your ego. That was less impactful with that text indication coming in. God damn it. So I'm going to say it again. Life is complex. Shove your judgments up your ass and meet people where they are. If you want to get the truth of life, then get into the grit. Okay? Don't sit back and be comfortable. Get into the grit and find out what's actually going on. That's all. I gotta go and take care of children. So have a great night. Thanks for listening, as always.